high-level education policy and to evangelize HP's education proposition. He has spearheaded the regional development of HP's remote learning program, smart classroom ecosystems, innovation labs, digital capability programs for educators, and pedagogy consultancy frameworks for governments and regulators. He was previously with GEMS Education, where he headed the commercial line for the network of 50 schools in Manasa region. In addition, he sat on the boards of 2 schools. Prior to GEMS, he was with the Emirates Group for nearly 15 years in 2 stints, and his last role was head of global partnerships, where he led a portfolio of over 450 relations, and his organization portfolio managed large-scale collaboration projects with tech partners. His preceding role was head of customer experience for Donata, Emirates Group, where he set up the line and managed the business technology, product, pricing, loyalty, and customer service functions across the network. Earlier roles included country management and regional P&L responsibility with leading multinational groups. Mayank is a sought-after keynote speaker, author, and moderator on EdTech subjects. He has spoken at prominent international conferences, and his articles have appeared in leading publications. He has also been an active member for several talent management pools. Mayank is a certified yoga teacher, as well as the founder of a non-profit entity, Yoga Smriti, which combines individual and community well-being. All proceeds from the initiative are directed to charitable causes supporting children in need. Mayank's philanthropic work has been recognized at regional and international forums. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him with a huge round of applause. Thank you, sir. In the words of Rosalind Carter, former Lady USA, leadership is the capacity to transform vision into reality. A leader takes people where they want to go, but a great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. Yes, I'm talking about that great ninja warrior who has transformed herself as well as this school to where it ought to be today and the days to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and join me in welcoming the principal of GEMS Legacy School, GEMS Executive Leader, Climate Change, Ms. Asha Alexander.
Good evening, everyone. It's really a pleasure to see a hall full of educators today, and we are here to recognize you for all the work that you've done. But before I begin, I would like to once again welcome our guests of honor as well. We have with us Mr. Michael Gazda, Vice President Education. He's not new to you. You've known him for a long time. He's a champion of our cluster and is very supportive of all the work that we do here. Do accept a small token of our appreciation, Michael. We also have with us the Vice President Communication GEMS, Mr. Jonathan Bramley, a personal friend, a champion of the school, and he's on our local advisory body. We're delighted to have you with us, and we'd like to welcome you with a small token of our appreciation. You might not know this lady, but I really admire her. She is the Vice President Procurement, a very tough role to maintain in GEMS. Your grit and your tenacity are really something amazing, and we really are delighted to have you with us for the very first time. We'd like you to accept a small token of our appreciation, Jasmine Fernandez. And last but not the least, a very favorite friend of mine, Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam, the business partner for our cluster at HR. He is the person largely responsible for your welfare, and so it's essential that he's here this evening. It's indeed a pleasure to have you with us. Please accept a small token of our appreciation. This celebration has had a journey of 10 years. I remember this very same auditorium when we did the first Blue Ribbon Awards. We had Miss Esther Supriya Iyer as our chief guest. We had no stage. We had a handful of people here in the auditorium. Today, we are recognizing 177 educators for the wonderful work that they do at the school. And just like our MC, Zara Shirasi just mentioned, in this journey of 10 years, there have been 7 people who are going to receive the award for a 10th year in succession. Zara is one of them. We have Rana Sabohi, we have Jeffrey Blackyer, we have Bareen Matthew, we have Euphemia Jarain, Paramjit Singh, and we also have Bhavna Sajjanani. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes. Important reason why I'm highlighting their names is it's very easy to be an excellent leader for a year, maybe for 2 years, but for 10 years, the consistency they have shown is what we are celebrating tonight. We want teachers and leaders. Some of you have joined us recently, but your consistency is admired because you turn up every day and you do ordinary things extraordinarily well. And that is why we celebrate you tonight. And we also celebrate because it's not enough just to be consistent. What are you consistent with? You're consistent with your learning. This is a wonderful learning organization, and I am so proud to say we have a teacher who will be celebrated a little later, Nisha Mohsin, who has come in 3rd across India, across the world, wherever Center TPO, the Teachers Olympiad, is administered. She has come overall 3rd for the subject of English, and I am exceedingly proud that we have her at GEMS Legacy School. We also have many other teachers, some who are global school advocates like Sandhya Prashant and Eleanor. We have hundreds of action researchers amongst you who are constantly learning and exploring new boundaries. You're a learning organization, and that is why we're celebrating. Along with that learning, I suddenly discovered we have a master's in Bharatnatyam. For the first time in my life, I didn't know that we had amongst us Ashwati Vinod. Is she here? She's not able to attend. She had a slight injury. But she's a master's in Bharatnatyam. And you're learning, you're continuing to learn. We have 20 people on staff who are acquiring new degrees. We have 5 teachers here, 5 teacher leaders who are doing educational leadership. It makes me exceedingly proud that we can celebrate such a wealth of experience. Yesterday at the local advisory board meeting, I mentioned to Jonathan and Michael that amongst us, in the 32 years of kindergarten starters, there are people, a collective experience of 1,615 years just in GEMS Legacy School amongst you. And you have, I asked for your qualifications, you have 812 degrees amongst you. That means almost every teacher has 3 degrees on an average. And almost every teacher has spent 5 years in the school. It speaks volumes for an organization when there's stability, when there's learning, and there's growth in the organization. This is what we are celebrating. We are also celebrating the wonderful work many of our teacher leaders do in sharing this learning with the world. So we are collaborating through the GEMS Global Ambassadors, through twinning programs led by young people like Ranjini Ramnath, Althea Vaz, Radha Madhukar, several teachers like Nikita, Gabriela, Valentina, associating with schools in Italy, in Australia, in Malawi, in Bangladesh. We're not just learning for ourselves, but you are empowering other people across the world. And that's a tremendous thing to do, to uplift others and empower them so that they progress along with you. That's success. Not just marching alone on your own, but taking others with you. And that is the reason I celebrate you tonight. I also celebrate you because we have wonderfully empathetic leaders. We have leaders like Vinny, Agnes, we have leaders like Pratima Verma, Sarita Kaul, who are working with the Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, which is very close to my heart because you're uplifting the girl child in underprivileged areas in India. And not only are they spending their time, their summer holidays, volunteering to teach these children, they are allowing our children to interact and teach other children in India alongside them. And I think that that particular action that you're taking is highly inspirational. I would urge all of you who are interested to join them so that more of us are doing good service for the world. There are teachers who are here because they're creative and they're innovative. And creation and innovation, I cannot think of anyone better than our CDIO, Bhavna Sajnani, and people like Safura Anwar, Ashwati Vinod, who embark upon a series of innovations because they are fearless, they're risk takers, they love to experiment, and they like to fail. And I admire their courage in failing because only through failure are you going to learn. And I have to, at this moment, be filled with gratitude, not just for you, but for your families, for your parents, for your spouses, for your children, who support you so that you can teach at GEMS Legacy. So I would like you all, in their absence, I'm hoping they're watching this live, to give them a round of applause, because without them, you wouldn't be here. So this year, we decided, besides the Principals Award, to also recognize endeavor. There are people who try so very hard. And I wanted this year that those teachers understand that there is a way forward. We see them, they work quietly, but they are going to be recognized today because of the hard work they've already put in on joining this school. And there are another 200 plus teachers who didn't get the award. So this is a time for reflection. I want to tell all those teachers, you're not alone. I'm there with you. In the 35 years that I have served in different schools, I have never, ever received a teacher's award, a best teacher's award. I have never, ever received a best principal's award or a best headmistress's award. So I want those teachers who are not here to listen to me very carefully. All validation doesn't come from a Blue Ribbon Award or a recognition from a KHDA or from the awards that you have your eyes peeled on because you think this is the award that I should get. Your validation comes from your students who do exceedingly well as they grow. Your validation comes from the parents who write in to tell you what a wonderful job you're doing. Your validation is coming today from organization outside of GEMS. It's coming from as far as UNITAR, UNCC. It is coming from a T4 Education that is shining a spotlight on your school and saying, you're the 10 best in the world for environment action. So if you are not being recognized tonight, I don't think you should be heartbroken. You should be aspirational. You should remember your purpose and continue to strive for it. Because when you look to the universe for abundance, the universe expects you to live abundantly, with an abundance of joy and happiness, with limitless passion, with an overflowing heart full of generosity, kindness, and care for one another. And then the universe will turn and bless you with the rewards that you seek. Have a wonderful evening, and congratulations to all the winners yet again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was indeed motivating and extremely encouraging. We're so honored and privileged to have you lead the vision and mission of our esteemed organization. Guru. Gu translates to darkness, and Ru translates to remover. We invoke and welcome that Guru in us as the creator of opportunity, the sustainer of knowledge and the destroyer of darkness with the light of pure consciousness. Ranjani will be performing an invocatory piece on a shloka dedicated to teachers for the guidance that they provide in overcoming ignorance on the path to enlightenment and awakening.
You taught us music. You taught us to smile. You taught us to give and the right way to live. Can never thank you enough for being what you were and making us what we are. Gurave Namaha.
The Manipuri school of dancing, whether folk, classical, or modern, is devotional in nature. The dancers from such streams captivate the beholders with their exotic costumes and simple yet graceful rhythm, presenting before you a few glimpses of both different classical and folk gestures in the fusion music of Manipuri dance presented by Miss Sana, which describes the beautiful mountains, lakes, flora, and fauna of the state, seeking blessings from different deities to protect the land and every living being.
lại khu ni sa ha da sam to na yang yoi bu yo hen ta li ba sa nau na ha bang gan ba nong shi bi yo sa gol bu hau chan bi yo ma khoi bu sa go kam de yo kha si ming che tu rong thiên rong mo.
What a graceful performance. It was so beautiful. Thank you for such a brilliant performance. The James Legacy School proudly presents the Blue Ribbon Awards for the year 2021-22. This award ceremony is in its 10th year and will be an evening like no other. Today, we will honor the staff for their excellence and recognize the significant and consistent contributions that they have made beyond the call of their duties towards the school's growth. Today, we will acknowledge efforts of those individuals that make up the GLS family, from all departments across the school, as well as those who work behind the scenes to ensure who we say we are, and add value to the red and white flag that flies high. I would like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Mayank, to please come up on stage to do the honors. We begin with the Principals Awards. The Principals Award of Excellence is granted by GEMS Legacy School to individuals who have had a profound impact on the school through the exceptional contributions of their talents, time, and philanthropy. The Award of Excellence personifies the sense of quality and community by recognizing those few individuals whose service is truly in the tradition of the school. The award represents outstanding contributions, dedicated loyalty, and continuous support for excellence at GEMS Legacy School. Ladies and gentlemen, begin applauding as I call the first awardee, Ms. Radha Madhukar. Ms. Ranjani Ramnath. Ms. Althea Vaz. Our next awardee is Ms. Nisha Mohsin. Ms. Aswati Saraswati, she's not in today. Ms. Bhavna Sajnani. Our next awardee is Ms. Vinnie Agnes. Ms. Safura Anbar. Marine Matthew. Ms. Ananya Chakrabarti. Mr. Paramjeet Singh. Ms. Leanne D'Souza. Miss Anita Krishnan. Mr. Rajiv Raghavan. And last but not the least, our loving Vice Principal, Ms. Lata Venkateshwar. Nothing compares to the pride and joy of working so hard for many years and being presented with a Lifetime Achievement Award, a distinctive honor and privilege that is achieved with resilience, consistency, and passion with 20 years of dedication. Having joined KGS in 2003, he continues to inspire people with the simple acts of sustainability. He has made an impact on the school by leading on several sustainable projects that has put GEMS Legacy School on the global platform today. He brought laurels to school in the form of Green Flag Award for 8 years in a row and Diva Conservation Award in 2009 and 2013. Being a professional art teacher, he enjoys sports and always believes in teaching beyond the classroom. That is achieved inspired by the environment. His philanthropic contributions towards the art auctions for Dubai Cares has always been recognized to the school community. We're so proud to celebrate with you and honor you with this award. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Ms. Jeffrey Blackyer has received the Lifetime Achievement Award. She's a highly aspirational and goal-oriented. We would like to commend the excellence of this particular leader who has brought glory on a global platform. She has excelled in CENTA TPO, which is an annual teaching professional Olympiad. 35,000 teachers qualified from all over India, Middle East, Philippines, Egypt, and many more countries around the world. She secured first rank in English and third rank across all subjects. Please put your hands together for Ms. Nisha Mohsin as we celebrate her excellence today. I would now like to request our chief guest to address the gathering and share his impressions with us.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to, first of all, of course, thank Mrs. Asha Alexander and Michael Guzdo for inviting me here. It's a school that I've been associated with in the past, so it's a great pleasure to be here back. Of course, I'm still looking for the invisible screen prompter because I have no idea how Asha spoke so eloquently for so long without referring to a single note. So we need to acknowledge her first. I think she patted everybody on the back apart from herself, but really she is the pillar of the school. I think she's your North Star, and this phenomenal results that you have here are because she leads completely from the front. So to Mrs. Asha Alexander, I think a standing ovation. Recently, very much like these awards, I had initiated something called the Africa Education Medal. And the reason we did that was because we wanted to recognize change makers in Africa, leaders, educators, NGO change makers who were making a difference in the education sector. And we wanted to celebrate and recognize their stories, but equally wanted to inspire others by what they were able to achieve. And I think that is, to Asha's point, what she said today, that even if you were not on the podium today, I think you are going to be torchbearers tomorrow. So if you're listening, the other 200 teachers who are not here, you're going to be passed on the baton. You're going to be incredibly proud of yourselves as well in the future, because these are the stories that you're going to inspire from and then inspire others. There is so much change happening in education right now. The whole structure is going through what economists call Schumpeter's Gale, which means that the structure is imploding on itself and fresh innovation, fresh creativity is coming out. And equally resilience, right? All of you teachers have been so resilient in the last 2 years. You have seen more change in the last 2 years than probably in the last 20 years. But you have adapted. You were thrown in the deep end and you came out, shining as shining stars. According to me, there are, a few more changes afoot. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because this is going to be part and parcel of your life. You're experiencing some of it today. Some of it is going to happen a little bit later. So I look at changes which are coming under two sort of axes, right? One is the innovation impact, and the second is the speed with which it's getting adopted. I think blended learning was a term that educators, anybody in the education sector has used for the last couple of decades. But it never really became mainstream. But with COVID, I think we were all forced to adopt to this. And this is just technology coming into the classroom, right? But next to that is going to be content digitization. And when I talk about content digitization, it's not just taking a PDF out of something that you were using in a textbook, but interoperable, interactable material, which students and you can use to really create learning pathways. If these two things come together, that's when you're truly able to create the flipped classroom, which today you're doing in many ways, right? But the flipped classroom is a reality that students were hoping for and which is now right down here in front of everybody. So these three, I think, are things that have been talked about, but today have become really center stage in our classrooms. But equally, especially in higher education, you're going to see the proliferation of modular courses and micro-credentials, which means that students are going to really ask for dictating their own pace of study, their own ways of study, and they're going to want to have it bite-sized because that's the attention span of today's generation. But just beyond the horizon, you're going to start seeing personalization because the minute technology comes into the classroom, you're going to have artificial intelligence, machine learning sitting on the back of it. And that means you're going to truly create pathways for students to the power of one, which means you're going to understand each student and actually create his or her individualized pathway. Campuses are going to become boundaryless. You've probably become boundaryless already with AKNS campus and your campus, but in reality, campuses are going to disappear because students are going to learn from everywhere. Learning is not going to be a place where you do it, but how you do it, right? And that how is really the first layer, the blended learning, the content digitization, the flipped classroom, and so on. So campuses are going to become porous. And virtual reality is going to really dictate how students are going to collaborate with each other. Asha spoke about students sitting in Malawi, students sitting in Singapore that you're already collaborating with. But virtual reality is going to make that even more true because you're going to have avatars of yourself as teachers. Those students are going to have avatars, and you're going to interact in that virtual world. So this is really where education is headed. And then, companies like ourselves, like HP, Google, Microsoft, IBM, we're going to partner with academia. We're going to create bolt-on industry partnerships where students can actually create a path for themselves along with internships to a actually assured level of getting hired by a company. So that's going to become more mainstream as well, but that's 3-4 years down the line. And scholastic esports are here to stay. Your students are already on those platforms. They're playing on Twitch. There are teachers, professors who are now on Twitch holding camp, teaching everything from chemistry to chess. So where the students reside is where, as educators, we're going to move. So it's going to be a completely different way of teaching and a completely different channel of teaching. And finally, it's going to be education as a service. The largest company in the world is slated to be an education company. That doesn't mean it's a company that was already in education, but it's a company that will realize that the potential of learning is from cradle to grave. And how do you create a pathway to hold on to a person's hand all the way in their learning journey as they have 7 careers and so on, as we know, things are going to change. So this is just a little vision of the future, but you are already embarking on it. You are resilient, you're innovative, you're creative, and that's what we're celebrating here today. So once again, a big kudos to you, a standing ovation to you, and thank you for everything you do for the students and for the future. Back to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with such deep information. I'm sure Mrs. Asha Alexander must be thinking of some new innovations, and we will get to see in a day from now. So now I would like to call Mr. Gasdar and Mrs. Asha Alexander to kindly come up on stage and present the next set of awards. And we begin with the Long Service Recognition Awards. We value your contribution of 23 plus years to this institution. Your many years of service are a true testimony of your dedication to the organization, and you are truly valued for your contributions. And the first awardee is none other than Ms. Ruchi Mathur. And Ms. Nahid Mohammed Bowen. Ms. Manju Sharma and Ms. Maria de Cruz. Ms. Mona Kamal Ahmed Ali and Pramila Dinesan. Ms. Sabina Prabhakar and Ms. Sarita Kaul. And our final awardee is none other than Ms. Rabia Hamid Hassan Ali. You are a valuable member of our diverse and successful team. Wishing you the very best for continued success. Leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. And the awardees of the SLT team have been examples of this quote. So I begin with Ms. Rana Sabohi and Ms. Nina Cherian. And the next, I invite myself, Zara Shirazi and Vijita Shetty. Ms. Rizwana Mukadam and Ms. Pearl Pyers. Ms. Shruti Shimpi and Ms. Geraldine Khare. Ms. Fatima Anis and Ms. Namita Sadan. She's not in today. Ms. Iffat Beg and Ms. Pratima Varma. Ms. Olivia Mascarenas and Ms. Anaga Muley. Ms. Lorraine Gomes and Ms. Shini Nair. Ms. Princey Susapa and Shyamali Sarkar. Ms. Nashwa Ahmed and Ms. Aya Atiyah. And our final awardee is none other than Ms. Muhammad Mustafa. Congratulations to all the awardees. I would now like to request Mr. Gazdar to share his message with the awardees.
I'm one of those who needs a paper. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Asha. It's always nice to see people from the corporate office here. We have Jasmine, we have Jonathan, and we have Ramesh. They're always very busy there, and when people from corporate make time to be with us, it's a very special occasion. Well done. Thank you so much. Permit me to share a few thoughts, if I may. Some you may agree with, and some you may not. So the first, prioritize yourself. Everybody says, don't be selfish, look after other people. But when you're in an aeroplane, you remember what they tell you? Put on your mask first. And that's the message, one of the messages I want to leave you with this evening. And you're going to remember it. Put on your mask first. If you're happy, if you're healthy, if you go to the gym, if you eat well, watch your calories, if you're positive and motivated and inspired, then you can do that for others. If you're a sad, lonely, unhealthy person within, that's the message you'll give out to others. So that's number one, wear your mask first. Number two, be genuine. Everybody can see through a fake. So whether you're a teacher in KG or you're a member of the senior leadership team, be genuine. Let people get what they see from you. Number three, you're not going to be successful and you're not going to win every time. And that's for those people who are at home. I don't know where they're looking at us from, but from somewhere, wherever you are. You're here? All right. We can't win every time. We can't win every time. We can't be right every time. And so don't beat yourself up about it. I didn't win. I made a mistake. And people may be wondering why I'm not in the hall this evening. It doesn't matter. I think Mr. Alexander said, and I'm in the same boat, I never, ever won a Best Teacher award. I never, ever got any sort of recognition. In fact, in school, I was never a prefect, and teacher said, you're too quiet, and you don't have any leadership qualities. How sad. Don't put up imaginary barriers. All right? Don't put up imaginary barriers for yourself. If I had put up imaginary barriers for myself, I would have probably been in a small little town called Allahabad. It's famous for Amitabh Bachchan, not for me. And I would have been teaching grade 5. Because that's the standard I had set for myself at that time. I hope I get a job as a teacher. If I had put the barrier there, I would have still been in Allahabad. But thanks to my mother, who encouraged me to move out, despite being alone, and I moved to Pune, and life took its different road for me. So don't put up barriers for yourself. Believe that you can go, to the stars. I'm going to end with a short poem. It's quite short. It's Dare to Be by a gentleman called Steve Maraboli. When a new day begins, dare to smile gratefully. When there is darkness, be the first to shine a light. When there is injustice, be the first to condemn it. When something seems difficult, dare to do it. When there seems to be no hope, dare to find some. When you're feeling tired, dare to keep going. When times are tough, you dare to be tougher. When love hurts you, dare to love again. When someone is hurting, dare to help them. When another is lost, dare to help them find the way. When a friend falls, dare to be the first to lend a helping hand. When you cross paths with another, dare to make them smile. When you feel great, dare to help someone who is not feeling as great as you. When the day has ended, dare to feel that you've done your best. Dare to be the best you can. That's for all of you. Dare to be the best you can. Put on your mask first. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir. And you just mentioned that you've never received an award. So did Asha ma'am, said the same thing. She's never received an award. But I would like to say that we are fortunate because we have a leader and principal like you, Asha ma'am, who's recognizing the strength and the effort and everything that we put in each and every day. So this award is dedicated to you. Thank you, Asha ma'am. And thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Ms. Jasmine Fernandez to join up on stage to do the honors. A key to achieving success is to assemble a strong and stable management team, absolutely like the admin team at GLS. So to begin with, I call upon Mr. Nibin Thambi and Dr. Ratna Devi Raman. Ms. Rekha Srijit and Ms. Sindhu Kalungal. Ms. Virginia Sehata and Gauramma Ganesh. Ms. Krishna Putiambarat and Sara De Costa. And Ms. Dr. Nisha Paulos. She's not in today. And now we move on to a very special category of award that recognizes persistent endeavor and diligence in the enhancement of student learning and well-being. And the first awardee to receive this award is Ms. Akshi Aip, along with Ms. Danica D'Souza. Ms. Sija James and Ms. Jamie Rebello. Ms. Prajakta Joshi and Ms. Shireen John. Ms. Neetu Sureshan and Ms. Ramadevi Chamarte. Ms. Samira Khwaja and Ms. Razia Fizan. And the final awardee in this category is Ms. Seham Haidar. She's not in today. And now we move on to awarding the Teacher Awards for core scholastic subjects. And we begin with Ms. Euphemia Jarain and Ms. Shailaja Patania. She's not in today, Ms. Shailaja. Ms. Euphemia. Ms. Claudine Ann and Ms. Neri Songord. Mr. Kaikalwabu Akai and Ms. Sarita Baloni. Mr. Praveen Shimpi and Ms. Gomati Srinivasalu. Ms. Manjari Satsangi and Gandhali Ramugade. Ms. Nangalagi Fernando and Samiksha Joshi. Thank you, Ms. Jasmine Fernandez, for gracing this occasion and doing the honors. Now I would like to request Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam, People and Organization Business Partner, to join us up on stage and do the honors. As we continue to honor the staff for their excellence and recognize their significant and consistent contributions they have made beyond the call of their duties towards the school growth, I call the first awardee in the teachers category, and she is Ms. Rakshanda Manzoor with Ms. Valencia Fernandez. Ms. Yusra Siddiqui and Ms. Menka Fulwani. Ms. Rupali Kanchan and Ms. Prachi Pilwankar. Ms. Vanessa D'Souza and Ms. Susha Alex. Ms. Shweta Nayak and Ms. Rena Braganza. Ms. Aishwarya Bhattacharjee and Ms. Ritika Murarka. Ms. Shannon Fernandez and Ms. Deepa Mohanan. Ms. Hannah Yogita Lewis and Ms. Iman Wahid. Ms. Iman is not in today. Ms. Natasha Dutt and Ms. Anandi Sharma. Ms. Shiza Sheikh and Ms. Claudia Bennett. Ms. Kirti Kedar Kulpe and Ms. Shweta Vilandi. Ms. Nikita Suri and Ms. Gabriela Stevens. Ms. Vijay Shanti Sebastian and Ms. Aksa Javed Alam Azmi. Ms. Elaine Nicole Rebello and Ms. Anjana Nair. Ms. Rinku Patel and Ms. Sandhya Prasant. Ms. Vyoma Chaturvedi and Madhi Konduri Mani. Tahira Sadia Muhammad Ehsanullah and Shabnam Muhammad. Ms. Shilpa Kamath and Ms. Subi Bimal. Ms. Bhavini Waghela and Satyavani Shirke. Ms. Sani Matthew and Mr. Liaquat Ali. Ms. Valentina Solomon Samuel and Ms. Zuleika Masood. Ms. Sneha Nair and Ms. Xenia Patrick D'Souza. Ms. Jennifer Damia Raja and Kiran Sharma. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh, for doing the honors. Your presence means a lot to us. Now I request Mr. Jonathan Bramley to join us in giving away the final set of awards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a big round of applause. And we have Ms. Zainab Sutarwala and Ms. Jyotsna Sharma, who's not in today. Ms. Rosaline Binoj and Ms. Nishat Fatima. Ms. Zeenat Bhimani and Ms. Alfia Saifi. Ms. Pranita Chaugule and Ms. Surabhi Tandon. Ms. Jyoti Sadnani and Ms. Surya Paul. Ms. Pushpa Kundamal and Ms. Usha Parekh. Ms. Shaini Balan and Ms. Julie Jacob. Ms. Millicent Fernandez and Ms. Sarita Ms. Tehzeen Akhtar and Ms. Mehwish Fatima. She's not in today. Ms. Poonam Kumbaria and Ms. Salini Kummala. Ms. Vanita Romel and Ms. Fatima Kareem. Ms. Rafat Sultana and Ms. Usha Kalantri. Ms. Sherebanu Ismail Kanchwala and Ms. Najma Farhan. Ms. Shania Karen Savio Rodriguez and Ms. Nada Fazal. Ms. Velangani Jacinta and Ms. Gazel Fernandez. Ms. Lakshmi Raghunath and Ms. Sakina Umme Abiha. Ms. Sindhu, she's not in today, and Ms. Gracie Perpetual Fernandez. Ms. Komal Sajwani and Ms. Lekha Ajitaraja Gopal. Ms. Mary Smita and Ms. Rania Ahmed. Ms. Mandira Bakshi and Ms. Ashba Fatima. Ms. Sajita Ranjit, who's not in today, and Ms. Wala Al Sayed. Ms. Rahila Irfan Ahmed Shaman and Ms. Asma Nabil. Ms. Shweta Sharma, who's not in today, and Ms. Manal Sadiq. Ms. Pooja Prashant Son Naik and Iman Abdul Fattah Khalaf. Ms. Saiju Varghese, who's not in today, and Ms. Nahed Hamid. And our final awardees is none other than Shalu Melvin and Srividya Santanam. Thank you for honoring the awardees. May I request you Mr. Jonathan Bramley, to share your impressions about this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, Asha Ma'am, the SLT, teachers, my fellow SSC colleagues, and all GEMS Legacy School support staff, I'd like to start by saying how wonderful you all look. Now, last year I came and I didn't realize that this was a beauty parade as well as a talent show. So I didn't wear my best bib and tucker. And so when I left before this evening, before I came out, I said to my wife, I really need to look at my best because the GEMS Legacy School staff are some of the most, and I don't know if I can say this in this sort of PC world, but they're so beautiful, the men and the women. So I went through all my ties and everything, and I picked out this one, which is one of my favorites, because it was given to me by Mrs. Shirley Varkey, no less, who is the chairman's wife, and she gave me a handkerchief. I did some work for them. She gave me a handkerchief, so I said, I am going to more than hold my own. I am going to more than hold my own in tonight's ceremony. And then I get to the door, and I'm met by Rajiv. Now, stand up, Rajiv. Now, look at... And I knew I was back. I have to do better next year again. Now, when Asha Ma'am invited me to join you as a guest speaker for the Blue Ribbon Awards, I must admit I did a bit of a double take because I thought, hang on a minute, didn't I just do this a few months back? Surely they don't want to hear from an old gas bag like me again. But then I checked the calendar, and sure enough, it was 12 months ago since we last had this very unique gathering to celebrate all your successes. So I've got bad news for everybody that's younger than me in this room. This will keep happening to you a lot. The years seem to get quicker and quicker as you get older. And it gets to be like a sort of out of control carousel, crazy carousel that makes you dizzier and dizzier. But there are some advantages to being a little bit older, which, by the way, I'm determined to do with good grace and good humor. One is that you watch your children grow up, get on, fly the nest, and hopefully cost you just a little bit less as time goes by. Another is that hopefully you learn a little bit of wisdom from the many mistakes that you've doubtless made during the course of your lifetime. But one of the most rewarding bonuses of aging is that you can look back at some of the wonderful experiences that you've had that help shape the person that you've become today. And if you're really lucky, every now and then, some nice people like you invite you to come and while away a few minutes reminiscing and talking about them. Now, it so happens that I'm joining you during a rather emotional and tumultuous period in my life, and I suspect it will be unforgettable. And I wasn't sure, to be honest, if I should really talk about it today because it's a private rather than a professional matter. But then I thought, I'm among friends here at GLS. And I know that you'll indulge me while I get to the point. So about a month ago, I lost a truly pivotal figure in my life, which was my beloved mother. She was 87 years old, and we were blessed that she lived an incredibly full life right to the end. She didn't suffer before her passing, and knowing her, she died with a smile on her face. I was so lucky because I managed to spend a couple of weeks with her earlier this summer before her passing. We could see that she wasn't right physically, but she was as game as ever, and she insisted on joining me for short trips into the village so we could get provisions and so on. And every passerby she saw, she smiled at, and she had this huge, characteristic, lovely smile. And it's not surprising if you're a student of human nature that everybody smiled back at her. So my mother made her way down the high street, sprinkling happiness every step of the way, as she'd always done throughout her life. And I used to refer to my mother regularly during my addresses to schools and others, because she's always been an inspiration to me, and I hope I can share a little bit of her example to others. She was a firm believer that life was for the living and full living. And my goodness, she did that to the full. And part of that very full life was to work, and in particular, enjoying herself while she was doing it. Now, my mother's passion was writing. And from the age of 16, when she left school prematurely, and you remember this was the early 1950s, she never stopped, even when she gave birth to and raised 5 children, of which I was one. Now, about 45 years ago, she discovered her true professional niche, which was writing about real estate, property. And she started writing a weekly column about the subject for a local newspaper. Now, it totally absorbed her, and every now and then, she was so absorbed that she forgot to pick me up from school in the car for the school run, and I had to walk about 3 or 4 miles home from the school. And by the way, these days you'd probably receive special counseling for that if you're in my shoes, but she used to say to me that it was good for the soul. And it was also good for my fitness, which was good news because I play badminton and table tennis. So she was always looking for the positives. Anyway, she continued to do this, writing, not the school run, until 2 weeks or so before her demise. And don't forget, she was 87. And even during my last conversation with her, she was still concerned about missing a deadline for the newspaper. So the point I'm coming to is that my mother fulfilled my personal definition of a life that was well led. It wasn't really the subject of what she wrote about that was crucially important, although the British are pretty fixated about houses. It was that she was bringing herself pleasure, but also informing others by doing the job that she loved. Now, tonight we are here to pay tribute to others who clearly have thrived by doing what they love, all of you. And in your case, there's no doubting what you're doing is so constructive and good, because you're all playing a part in molding our next generation to make this crazy, mixed-up old world of ours a better place. And if I have one message for you this evening, it's to cherish that, because it's a God-given gift. To spend 8 hours a day doing something you don't love doing during the working week is my personal idea of hell, and frankly, a waste of life. But I love the fact that you have a quote writ large in this auditorium that sums this up better than I could possibly say. And it's from that master of communications of the ages, the US President Abraham Lincoln. As ever, the man who wrote the Gettysburg Address says it with a minimum of words. whatever you are, be a good one. Everybody here this evening, whether they be the principal, Mrs. Asha Alexander, a faculty head, a teacher, an MSO, a janitor, is contributing to the overall success of this wonderful school. And there's another story I'd like to quote involving another US president. This one, less likely, is Mr. Richard Nixon. And you may already know it, but bear with me, please, while I explain. President Nixon was walking around the NASA HQ in the early 1970s in Houston. It was shortly after the first lunar landings, and he came across a guy who was sweeping the floors. So the president walked up to the chap, and he said, well, what precisely do you do here? And the man said, my job is to send men to walk on the moon. He saw himself as part of that team, playing a key role. Now that's my definition of a successful team. I may have VP by my title, but this is the way I describe what I do these days when people ask me at dinner parties and the like what I do. I am making the world a better place by helping shape the next generation. That's what I tell them. At this point, they usually ask me if I'd like a nice large drink by way of thanks. It's only later when they find out I'm a humble communications guy that they move on, make their excuses, and talk to someone more interesting. So, to sum up, please keep doing what you're doing. Keep raising your standards to lift your personal bars continually. And just as important in my book, keep enjoying every minute of it. It'll lead to a happy, fulfilled life that you can look back on with pride when you're nearly 90, just like my mother. Thank you very much, everyone.
First of all, we are very sorry about the huge loss, but we are truly inspired about her story, and we will truly take it the way forward. Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Bramley. So with this, we come to the end of this wonderful ceremony, and the journey is, of course, never-ending. There's always going to be growth, improvement, adversity, and you just have to take it all and do what's right. Continue to grow, continue to live in the moment. And this evening has been a celebration of your growth and accomplishment. Thank you all for all that you do for this organization. This wouldn't have been possible without the contribution of the MSO, Mr. Rajiv and his team. Good things end, so better things can begin. Thank you everyone present here for being a part of this Blue Ribbon Award ceremony. Do enjoy the dinner and the rest of the evening. I hope you have a lovely evening ahead. The buffet is open. Please proceed to have your dinner. Thank you, everyone.